Hello, folks. Welcome to American Songster Radio on WSM. I'm your host, Dom Flemons, the American Songster. I'm looking forward to speaking with my next guest, Mickey Guyton, who was born in Arlington, Texas, just outside of Dallas. I had the opportunity to meet Mickey a few years back, and I'm glad that we finally got a chance to reconnect. And when it comes to her style of music, she says that she was drawn to a variety of artists with big voices, including Dolly Parton, CeCe Winans, Whitney Houston, and LeAnn Rimes. And after signing to Capitol Records Nashville, Mickey's first appearance was at an all-star concert at the White House, captured by PBS. In 2015, she released her self-titled EP featuring her debut single, Better Than You Left Me. Mickey recently made history as the first black female solo artist to earn a Grammy nomination in a country category, which was Best Country Solo Performance for her song Black Like Me, which she performed as part of the awards ceremony. And this last September, Mickey released her most recent album, Remember Her Name. Mickey, it's great to have you on American Songster Radio. So glad to have you. It's just been amazing. Everything from, of course, from Black Like Me, which was just a groundbreaking single, and also a groundbreaking moment for you as an artist as well, being the first black female solo artist to get a nomination in that category. I think that's just amazing. And of course, you've got a new baby. So life is.
I know. I have a baby now. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's amazing. Getting into parenthood, but you're still just knocking it out. I was looking at some of the pictures from the All-Star tribute to Charlie Pride that you were hosting, and
yeah.
It's great. And then with now that you have that little baby on your knee, that's inspired a brand new record. Remember Her Name. Can you tell me just a little bit about the new record, just a bit?
Yeah. So the record is honestly my life over the course of the last 10 years. And really the switch in my whole way of thinking over the last 3 years, I want to say. That's what this album is. I moved to Nashville 10 years ago and experiencing, sorry, my cat is so happy to see me. Sorry if you can hear.
Oh, that's all right. Well, it's a pleasure. What's the cat's name?
Halle Berry.
Oh, well, it's great to have Halle Berry also on the show too with Mickey. This is great. I didn't know it was going to be a duo interview. So,
she's very vocal. That's for sure. But anyway, yes, the album is just me becoming comfortable in my own skin. Truly, that's what it is. It's so many lessons that I learned and stories that I want to tell, and I'm just so excited to be able to share it.
Wonderful. Now, you're mentioning being comfortable in your own skin. Do you mind just elaborating just a little bit for folks? Folks might see you on TV or on the album covers or whatnot, and they say that Mickey is a star. She's she must be completely comfortable with herself and everything like that. Well, and now, I guess, without getting too deep into all personal matters, I'd love to maybe speak about it in a musical fashion. Was there a particular moment musically on the album that sort of really set you on the course to this new Mickey that we're getting to meet, this brighter, more vibrant Mickey that's reflective of Mickey on the back end, off stage?
Absolutely. Back in 2018 was really the shift for me. I was sitting down with my husband and I asked him, why do you think that country music isn't working for me? Because I had been pursuing it for so long and I was just met with so many different roadblocks. And he said, because you're running away from everything that makes you different. And it just really kind of gutted me a little bit. And I looked back at my life and realized, man, I was just trying so hard to fit into Nashville and to be a Black woman trying to fit into an industry and a genre where there's not a lot of people that look like me. I was running away from everything that made me unique and different. And so I wrote a song called Black Like Me, which was really just talking about my own personal experiences being a Black woman in America. And that's kind of where it started for me. And then I wrote a song called I Love My Hair, which was another lesson that I've been trying to learn because as a country artist and you want to look like everybody. So putting in all these different extensions and weaves and wigs and trying to match what I thought would make me accepted. So this is another song that really talked about my own self-acceptance.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, And I think about it. The very first times I started performing on the Grand Ole Opry, they still had a lot of women that were wearing what I called the Kitty Wells special, which was the real big hair. And of course, in your bio, you mentioned folks like Dolly Parton, of course, and there's a long tradition of a lot of hair and a lot of different styles. And so now, now that you're taking some of that out of the way and letting it recede, so now you're taking full acceptance and pride in you as a person. How has that changed the way that you're writing songs since then? It sounds like that now, like with Black Like Me, for example, was there any other type of musical experience, or are there any songs or maybe artists that maybe had inspired you or gave you some sort of, musical cues to maybe follow? Or was there anything that you were listening to at that time that sort of made you want to change a little bit of the trajectory for what would become the next album?
What was so crazy is I was really listening to a lot of pop music at the time. And I was just looking at, it seems like a lot of pop artists were really writing their feelings, whether it was Alicia Cara with Here and Shawn Mendes. It just seemed like a lot of pop artists were really being transparent and talking about mental health and talking about self-acceptance and talking about the actual emotions that we all feel. And that was just so inspiring to me. And that's really what made me fall in love with country music, to be honest. Like, it was the Dolly Partons and Coat of Many Colors and all of those different songs that really talked about life. Like, that's what I loved about country music. And that's when I just wiped the slate clean and really started writing about my feelings.
Wonderful. Well, one of the ones that I really enjoyed off of the new record was your single All American. Can you tell me a little bit about that one? I mean, what a powerful statement there amongst many of them. But that was, again, it just seems like you're finding a whole new stride with how you're wanting to tell your story. Can you tell me a bit about that one?
Absolutely. So I wrote that song in the pandemic. I was very, very pregnant, by the way. And Black Like Me had been out for about 7 or 8 months. And I was just trying to figure out where I can, because that song is very polarizing. It can make people feel a lot of different emotions, whether it's happy, angry, so many different emotions. And once I wanted to address the certain issues in America that marginalized groups of people may be experiencing, I also wanted to bring the hope into my story. And that's always what I want to do. I always want to have a message of hope for people. And when I wrote All American, it was one of those things where I wanted people to come together. And All American really embodies everything that makes America great. And that is our differences, whether it is Daisy Dukes and Dookie braids. People don't know what Dookie braids are, but back in the 90s, Black women would wear these. They're called boxer braids now, but I really wanted to make a statement and call them what we used to call them, which was Dookie braids. And we would wear these big boxer braids and our hair. And that's American. Champagne and beer, all these different things. Like we're the lighters at a rock show and so many different things, back roads and city lights and hotel Bibles. That's all of what makes America great. And that's just truly one of my favorite songs. And I just wanted to bring people together with that one.
Well, that's wonderful there, because it's something that I started to really notice, especially when you did Black Like Me, which I still think is just an amazing song. It's something that I thought about it when I began to really ponder on Black Like Me, and then of course this most recent record. Since there haven't been a lot of Black female artists that have been in the songwriter's seat as well as the performer's seat, I found that you have such a unique perspective, that you are giving voice to a perspective that's out there, a perspective that's present to the audience that's out there, whether they're a Black audience or just a general audience, and presenting something new for people, almost, and very much in the way that country music has always sort of brought a perspective of people of perspectives that you might not have heard before, that might be a little bit different, and I really, really appreciate that. But one of the things I like about your writing, Mickey, is that you are able to bring the aspects of country music and that storytelling, but you still bring a very beautiful aspect of a key element to the blues, which is there's an elliptical quality sometimes. You don't tend to you don't tend to tell the story as a beginning, middle, and end on many songs. There are a lot of emotional images that are set there to sort of evoke emotions from the audience. And of course, that's something similar to the blues, where sometimes you can juxtapose images and create a larger emotional response from the audience. And being from Arlington, Texas, I just, we're focusing on Texas for you on this episode specifically. And I was wondering if there was anything from your upbringing in Texas that informed the way that you decided to write songs for this most recent record.
Absolutely. First of all, I want to credit the co-writers that I wrote many of these songs with. I couldn't have done it without them, and that's the beauty of Nashville. It's truly why Nashville has the storytelling is unmatched. And I couldn't go there and write these great songs if the co-writers weren't willing to go there with me. So I want to give a shout out and credit them as well. As far as experiences as a little girl, I grew up in Waco, Texas, or Crawford, Texas. And I consider myself, a very emotional person. I'm totally emo, okay? I am. But my grandmother is the one that I think of so often, and going to her house. And my grandmother lived in the country. And when I mean the country, like the streets didn't have names, they were numbered. And where she's buried, it's on a numbered street over a 100-year-old bridge that you have to drive over that you think might fall at any time. That's where she is. And I would go over her house when I was a little girl, and she would have Dolly Parton VHS tapes hanging on the back of her door. Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers duet VHS tapes hanging on the back of her door. She had Still Magnolias. She had Fried Green Tomatoes, and all of these Southern movies, along with the Roots collection of VHS tapes hanging on the back of her door. And that was my childhood memory. And I take away that I like to feel things. And when I think back in my childhood, I just think of the open space and my grandmother.
That's wonderful. And she was from Crawford, Texas as well, that area?
Riesel, Texas.
Oh, and what was that again? I don't think I've been to that town.
Yes, Riesel, Texas. Riesel is where my mom grew up, and Moody is where my dad grew up.
Wow. That's getting way back in the woods there. So now,
yes.
Now with thinking of those sort of early inspirational moments, now we've been theming the whole season around music that changed your life, and you've already mentioned a little bit of Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. Now, was there a specific musical moment? And this can be a record, and this could also be a concert, or even some musical experience that took you beyond just loving the music into a space where you're saying, I want to do this for a living. Was there a specific moment that or record or song that you can think of that really defines Mickey Guyton's, just her mind opening?
Yes. When I was a little girl, I think I was 9, LeAnn Rimes sang the national anthem at a Texas Rangers baseball game. I think that was my first country song that I learned was the national anthem. And I will never forget it. I was sitting in the nosebleed section, and the announcer says, "Please rise as 10-year-old Leanne Rimes sings the national anthem." And I was with my all-black church group that came from Waco to Arlington, Texas. And I had my whatever cup I had, I can't remember. And she started singing, and you could hear a pin drop in that stadium. She literally sounded like a grown woman, and we were all completely blown away. And that was that was my musical moment, was watching that. And when I saw her do that, I knew that's what I wanted. And then 2 or 3 years later, then she came out with Blue, and I was just, that was it for me.
Wow. And then so that's when you started saying that I want to do this too, and you wanted to start sharing that in music. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And now I guess now that we've had young Mickey hearing Leanne Rimes and mind opening up, beginning to travel around, and now of course touring for up until recently, touring quite a bit. And even though you're keeping extremely busy, which has been amazing, I'd also like to always ask people, and maybe we can focus on Texas. Are there any particular road stops that you think about when you're traveling on the road? Or are there any places that if someone was traveling through your part of Texas that you would recommend for them to visit or stop off at?
Yes, Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's gas station. There's one in Houston, and there are these massive gas stations that literally have the best things. I have a Texas-shaped coffee mug that I love so much. There's just a whole shopping center in this gas station that you have to go to. I'm trying to think of other things. They used to have this place that you could go line dancing in Arlington called Cowboys that went out of business. That I was so devastated when that happened. But you have to stop by Buc-ee's. You just have to. Stopping
over at Buc-ee's. I'm going to make a little note of that. And
yes.
Yeah, because I think about Woody's Smokehouse in Centerville is a place that I've always liked going to get some beef jerky over there of different types. And that was my first introduction to some of those big gas stations, like you're saying. It's I mean, they'll have the restaurant, they'll have the distribution center for all of the food you're getting at that restaurant, as well as all of the other amenities. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing there.
Oh yeah.
I guess I'll mention a little bit about you and Halle Berry and your
she's right here,
and how you all have been enjoying the new baby, and how has that changed your outlook on music, and how has that changed life for you?
Let me tell you, having a baby, first of all, I didn't know that I really wanted to be a mom when I found out that I was pregnant. And to be honest, I was pretty in shock and wasn't necessarily excited about it because I was scared about what would happen in my career, and I just didn't know. I had no idea. And once he was born, I just realized that everything that I am, every mistake, every heartbreak, every win led me to this baby. And he's all that matters. My animals, it's so funny. I feel so bad for them because all of my attention goes to my child, and they love him, but they also really miss their mom catering to them at all times. Now I just give all my attention to my baby, but that truly has been everything to me.
Oh, that's wonderful. And now how old now?
He's almost 7 months.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Is he singing along with you? Any harmonizing?
Well, I'll sing for him, and he instantly turns his head. If somebody else is holding him and I'll just sing, he'll turn his head, and he's so familiar with it because he was with me singing all of these songs on this album. He was in my belly.
Oh, that's amazing. Because I was going to follow that up with the question: what was the first music that you played for your son? But I'd imagine this album was the very first music.
Yeah, it was this.
Was there anything as a parent is there any music that you're wanting your son to know about? Any music that you're so diehard about that you've got to make sure that gets into his ears? Is there any particular records you're going to try to make sure that he listens to often?
Oh, yes. I'm going to definitely make sure he listens to Jason Isbell, and I'm going to definitely make sure he listens to Margot Price. I'll even let him listen to a little bit of Drake if he wants to at some point.
Right.
I'll just a little bit. I'll allow it this one time. And even Kanye West. I've really been enjoying his new record. There is this new up and coming singer, Brittany Spencer, whom you guys have had at the Opry. I am very, very passionate about her and what she brings to Nashville and what she's bringing to the genre. I just think she's just so special.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, she's just been making her ways, and I saw that Opry debut that she gave, and that's just so wonderful to see her really making some moves up there. That's great.
Yeah.
Did you know her beforehand, before her Opry debut, or did you meet her afterward?
I met her in 2019. We went to a little coffee shop called Red Bicycle, and I actually discovered her online. And I've been telling the town about her. I posted about her, and I don't know, she just is so incredible. Her spirit is so great. So to watch her make her Opry debut and to go on tour with Brett Eldredge, it's just a dream come true to see other beautiful Black women have their space here and are bringing their stories to this beautiful genre that we love so much.
That's wonderful, and I'm so glad that you're using your platform as you're making your ways up the ranks. I'm so glad that you're using your platform to help others also show that it's okay and to open the doors. Have you found that? Because I guess I'll frame this in the context of since you just did the Charlie Pride show, that in some ways, have you found that? Well, there was obviously a need to be able to help elevate people of color that are wanting to be involved in the country music genre.
Yeah.
But have you found that? Did you find there was a moment where you realized, wow, I have the opportunity to be able to share names and spread the word about showing people that I'm not necessarily the only one, but I'm one that can lead you to others? Did you find a specific moment when you realized that could be something that you could do? Because I think that's a very wonderful thing, a very honorable thing to be able to do.
I appreciate that so much. And after my husband had called me out and told me I was running away from everything that makes me different, he told me that I need to write country music from my perspective. And as I thought about that, and I looked back at Charlie Pride and all of these amazing country artists' careers, I noticed that I just didn't want there to be a gap, that much of a gap, the next time you discover another amazing Black country singer. So I started looking for it. And I realized that the only way that this can work, the only way that that more Black people can have a space in this genre is we all have to come up through here together. It's not enough for just one or two to make it here and there. We have to all make it and walk through that door together. So I didn't know that this would, me using my platform to discover other Black country singers was going to do so much. I just was using the little platform that I have, thinking maybe some people will see them and be interested. And what has happened is just insane. Like, it's just, there's so much amazing country music from all different genres, all different walks of life, from all different backgrounds and races. And it's just so cool to be able to be a part of that movement.
Absolutely, and everybody out here really appreciates you for doing that. And I think about that with even as I've been watching my own album from a few years ago, Black Cowboys, go out there. It was amazing to see the proliferation of Black cowboys as a concept, because again, it's like you're speaking my language on this one, where you can see that there's a need. And if you're able to have the idea and the inspiration and have the drive to get this notion of creating awareness, because that's how I always like to talk about with people, is creating awareness about new things that they could find. I think that's just a wonderful thing to talk about, to see, and then of course with you implementing that into your program as you're going out there. It's been amazing to see how broad the field has become in just such a short period of time. And that's something that is just so wonderful. And I personally can't thank you enough, as well as many people in the musical community.
Oh my goodness. It's truly a joy to do it. And I just realized the more people make it, the more doors that will be able to open. And we have to remember that we must hold the door open for each other and people coming up behind us. It is so imperative and important that we do that.
Absolutely. Well, that with that being said, I feel like that's a way we can tie this interview up in a bow here. That's a beautiful sentiment. I want to thank you again, Mickey Guyton, for joining us on American Songster Radio, and
Halle Berry.
Oh, and Halle Berry too. How can we forget? You know,
gosh.
I'm glad that you could bring your celebrity entourage with you on the interview with us this time around. And
Thank you.
Hopefully it won't be too long before we're able to reconnect again, and hopefully we'll get a chance to jam in the future and do some music. Again, Mickey, keep on writing from your perspective, keep on giving inspiration to others, and please keep on doing the amazing music that you do. Thank you all for listening to American Songster Radio Season 3, which is brought to you by Elderly Instruments in Lansing, Michigan. I look forward to sharing more music with you all, more stories from the road and songs that I've collected throughout my lifetime. I want to send a special thanks to our producers, WSM Radio, Vania Kennard, Jeff D'Elia, Michaela Elias, Haley Hall, and J.P. Tennell. Lastly, make sure to check out my website, theamericansongster.com, for my tour and project updates. Don't forget to follow me at Dom Flemons on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all your favorite streaming platforms. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow my Spotify playlists, order merch from my online store, and send me an email with all your comments and questions to theamericansongster@gmail.com. Plus, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to WSM Radio so that you can get more updates on the next episode. Well, thanks again, folks. You've been listening to American Songster Radio on 650 AM, WSM in Nashville, Tennessee. Catch you all next time.